Welcome, and thank you for joining us for another edition of Live by Heart Today with your hosts, Don Spiegelberg and Wendy R. Wolf. Our show begins now. Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
and wearehistorically.com, Conscious Human Apparel. It's time for the next episode of Live by Heart
Today.
Hello and welcome to the Live by Heart Today show number 37. This is a show designed to help you navigate change, uncertainty, and the new world we found ourselves in. We'll talk a little bit about science, a little bit about how our body works, a little bit about intuition, and we'll talk a lot about transformation. I'm Dawn Spiegelberg, a coherence coach and posture therapist. We're focusing on being proactive. And today's theme is the good old days. With me for today's Heart to Heart is my co-host, Wendy R. Wolf, professional transformation facilitator. Welcome, Wendy.
Hi, Dawn. It's so awesome to be here now in these days. These are the good old days. How great is that?
I think it's great. And you're shaking your head no. You're smiling, but you're shaking your head no.
It's always challenging, right? It's always challenging and it works out. And it's very exciting to be able to, can we get the perspective that we're going to look back and appreciate some things about this?
Yes, appreciating the here and now and looking at now in light of what was is a big deal for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
We feel, some of us feel stuck in a transition. Do we go out? Do we stay in? Can we go out? And those of us who are longing for the past, and maybe I would long for the past only a little bit, but not that much, because I happen to like the way things have changed. And I know that's not true of everyone. And you've said in the past, chance favors the prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that I prepared for a pandemic, that I prepared for the elections, that I prepared for all the things that are happening now, except I feel so fortunate to be alive, and I'm so grateful to do these shows with you, and we're moving ahead.
We're moving ahead. Yeah. Yeah. So what you're saying reminds me of change. And of course, that's been the focus for a lot of shows is can we roll with change? And I've already said my body personality does not like that. But we certainly get a lot of practice these days, and it's a good muscle to practice. Am I willing to overcome inertia? Am I willing to shift the direction? Am I willing to go when I've been stopped and stop when I go? Those are things that I don't enjoy because, as I've said, I think before, I love being where I am most of the time, where I am, with whom I am, doing what I'm doing. I love it, love it, love it. These are the good old days, and every day is new. And every person is new.
You remind me of my children when they were toddlers, because they absolutely hated saying goodbye. They didn't want to leave the park, right? They didn't want to change. And it was so difficult, and they'd be so upset about it. And I would see other parents with their kids, and it was the same for them. And I did something, I don't know where I came up with this, but it ended up being ingenious. I would start saying, we're leaving in 10 minutes. So if they had something they desperately wanted to do, they had 10 minutes to do it. And sometimes it was 20 minutes later, right? And I realized, that may not be entirely honest when I say to my kid 10 minutes and it's 20, but it gave them a chance to prepare. And chance favors those who are prepared. And it made a big difference. And another reason it made a big difference is because I could look at the timer and say, oh, well, the timer says it's time. So it wasn't me that they were getting upset with anymore. It was the clock and the timer. So it
Mhm.
just made it easier. The
Mhm.
transitions were a lot easier.
Mhm. And I use that for myself. I call it transition time.
Ah,
And I still use, I've used it with kids, but I use it with me as a kid too. And when I have something, to be at, I always set the alarm 15 minutes earlier so that because the transitions take time. We live in bodies. We need to pack up this and open that. Even if we're working at home, we need to get a snack and use the facilities, like we need the transition time, but we don't always notice it. Like with kids, it's so overt. But with us, it's like we need it too.
That's a really good point. And you
Yeah.
just explained a lot to me about what's going on in my life. I haven't been planning enough transition times.
hmm Yeah. Yeah. So we just had a death in the family last week.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
thanks. And it was really fascinating because Michael relates to things differently than I do. And I needed to go to visit family. I need to get my head around it. I need to change my schedule. I work for myself. I can't just take off,
Right.
I can't just call in. um, and I had to pack and I had to pack the food and I had to, right, there's things to do.
Put gas in the
Can't be just,
car.
right, all these things and do the laundry. So so it's just like this is just the reality of our lives, but it's always happening, and yes, it's very real now, but this is always how it is. Change is a real thing. This is how we roll in this reality. So just honoring that and giving ourselves and our bodies and our souls a chance to change like we do the kids, it's a huge thing.
Mm, mm. And I'm seeing too, we can't go back to the way things were, right? So you were getting ready, you were leaving and entering an environment that is completely different than the environment before, because now a
Yes.
person isn't going to be there who would normally have been there.
Yes, very sad.
And transitioning into something, and you don't know what it's going to be like. You don't know if it's going to be a better situation. You don't know if it's going to be kind of worse, but you know it's going to be different.
Yes.
And being able to prepare yourself for different
Yes.
is really beneficial.
Yes. And it's I think it's an important part of this conversation because we have our relationship with ourselves and each person in our family and all of our friends and we have relationship with our source or spirit or however you say, and we have relationship with the earth. We also have relationship with this reality, which is always shifting. And and we see it with the virus. It's so clear. We see it with weather. We see it with day and night. Like everything's always shifting, and our reality that we dance with is always shifting. But can we be centered here? And we've talked about this picture before. Can we be standing on solid ground when all these shifts happen? So that yes, I need to do the change, but I don't have to be tumbled by it.
Yes, very good point. And if our mindset is stuck in the idea of going back to the way it was, right? That's grasping for the past, then we're actually not being here. We're not being now. And we're not actually prepared, right? We're not prepared mentally. We're not prepared emotionally. We're not prepared physically.
Right.
And being prepared is referred to as resilience, right? Shoring up. And that's bouncing back from things when they change. And we had a show where we talked about constancy and habits and structure. And while some people don't like structure at all, having a structure means that there's there is a constancy. So with my children, I ask them, do your laundry every Wednesday and do your laundry on Saturday. And they're big enough that they can put it in the washer, put in the soap and turn it on. And I'm finding they're not doing that. So then on Sunday, it's time for us to go on a hike, and they look around and they say, I don't have any clothes. So they're not ready because the structure in place, fell through.
Yeah.
So then they have to go through their dirty clothes and wear dirty clothes. And if that's not enough motivation for them to do their laundry, then what is?
Yeah. That's great parenting. Thank you. To just let them deal with the consequences of their choices. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then they'll know next time they can choose or not choose to do the laundry. It's fantastic.
And I'm lucky that they want to wear clean underwear, right? Like
Yes.
that's a thing for them. So hooray.
Hooray. Very hooray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And this whole having a cadence, having a system, it reminds me of the overarching things we've been talking about for this whole season of being proactive.
Yeah.
The 7 steps. Is it 7 steps? The 7
It is
steps we
7.
talked about over. You want to review that?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I want to mention one thing you've said in the past. Everyone wants progress, but no one wants change. And so this is this little list that we've compiled, and we've been talking about it for weeks now, will help you manage the change. It will help with creating a foundation. It will help your resilience. And if we get a chance today, I'd like to talk about self-trust. But before we do that, let's review the list real quick. Number 1 is rest and renew your energy stores. Because as you know, when we live under stress and duress, that actually draws our energy. It requires more energy. And so then we're drained. And it's very difficult to face new, different, and changing environments when we're depleted. It's just really, really hard. Number 2 is investigating, using our senses. So we see with our eyes, we listen with our ears, we smell, right? We feel with our hands, and we take note of what's happening. And external as well as internally.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, you cannot be comfortable with what someone said, but it won't off-end you when you have your structures in place and your energy stores are high rather than low. And this is one of my favorites. Number 3 is being with what is. Recognizing what is. And right now, so many of us are looking at what was. We liked our lives the way they were before. We liked exercising without a mask on, and then, all the condensation and sweat chapping our face. All these things that are different now. Yeah. And then look for what's possible. Would you like to speak about that one in particular?
So exciting to apply our creativity in related to what's now and just see the incredible event horizon that's possible. It's way beyond what we might default to if we really are willing to open up to it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And then once your horizon broadens, you're choosing. You have more options. And I think that's what most people want. They want to see what their options are. They want to choose what's best for them and best for those around them. And then we take action. It's not enough to make a choice, right?
Yes.
It's essential that we move in the direction of that choice. And then, of course, being resolved, committing, moving ahead and continuing to move in that direction. Ooh, I think you said this too. If you accept what is, you can create what's next.
Oh,
Did
that's
you
a good
say
one. I'll take it.
Right.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And you talk about making a decision, which you have a really cool distinction about, that's relative to to basically the last 3 steps.
Yeah.
Choose, action. Go ahead.
Yeah. Someone that I follow quite closely shared this definition with me of decision, the word decide. And it comes from a word that means cutting off all other options. And the part of the word side, right? Like pesticide, and there are others, right? It means to cut off. It means to, destroy.
Kill. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when there is no other option, then there is only to go forward.
Right.
When I choose the option to go forward, then I love you've also said the world comes to meet me.
Yeah, when we
What is it
choose,
you say?
Providence moves to, that big long Goethe quote.
Yes.
Yes.
Providence moves to.
Oh, Goethe's at the end, but it's that Scottish Himalayan guy.
Yes.
Whatever his name is.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. So I decide and I take the first step, and then the whole world opens up for me.
Yes.
And that's true.
Yes.
And I don't have to live in the past. Yes. Because I have a whole new world of possibility, a whole new world of options. And when we live by heart, this is so beautiful. When we live by heart, we develop our own resilience. We practice this list of little 7 things. And I find myself referring to that list because I might get stuck about something. And I performed an experiment. It was like many experiments before, and now this was the final one to say, is it really true? Because I didn't want it to be true. And I've mentioned this before. I love dark chocolate so much.
Yeah.
And I decided, and I just get bad feedback, right? I don't sound like I'm nice. People think I'm angry. My family thinks I'm angry, and I don't think I am, but I come across that way, right? There's this irritation. So Saturday night, I ate a bunch of chocolate, like it was still in the house, right? So I just said, all right, here's my one final experiment. Does it really make me unkind? So I ate a bunch of it. And then the next day we were doing home church, which is studying spiritual concepts. And I explained something that I believed about spirit and who and how we are. And my husband tried to recap it, and he didn't get it right. and instead of saying, oh, that's not how I said it, and that's not how I meant it, I said, that's not what I said. And there it was. Boom. The chocolate showed its true colors. I showed my true colors. And it was like I was grasping onto my concept of, how I thought it should be. And then his misinterpretation of it, right? His misunderstanding of it was, how could you misunderstand? You don't even try to understand me. And none of that's true, right? Like I live a lie when I live with chocolate in my body. So removing the chocolate forever.
Wow.
Allows me to practice step 2 and 3 from truth, which is investigate using my senses, because I'm not able to use my senses properly if I'm on chocolate. And 3, being with what is.
Yeah.
Can't be with what is because I'm thinking, I believe something else is true when it's not at all.
There's another vibration going on.
Oh man, it's something and someone else's, and that's not the kind of person I want to be.
Yeah. Which kind of helps you be more resilient, which is the current thing we're talking about. It helps you be more resilient. Okay, if I choose and then decide not to have chocolate, then I can be more resilient. I can show up with what is and not be overreactive or whatever, disturbed.
Yes.
It's very helpful. And if we can continue to be scientists of the soul. we can like find out these things and
I
then
love
check
that.
them.
Yes, scientist of the soul. So here, this is the most important point to make. When I eat chocolate, I'm not able to live by heart in the
Yeah.
way that I want to.
Hmm.
So I'm deciding, I'm cutting off all chocolate as an option. Just boom.
Hmm.
I don't see chocolate. Dead to me. Chocolate is dead to me now.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I have similar things, but it's not cacao, which is just pure raw chocolate. It's any form of sugar I don't do well with. And I find a
Oh,
similar thing. I get mean. Um,
isn't it
so,
interesting?
yeah. Um, so we've talked before about this, about resilience, but I want to point out, I had a friend of mine who, she was doing a course for ministers. She was doing a course for ministers, like a next level training for how to be not burn out. So common.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us are dealing with that right now, whether we're, of course, most of us aren't in ministry overtly, but I hope we are under it all. We're bringing our goodness to the world and our families and to life. But how can we do it without burning out? And the bottom line is resilience. And I think the way is, to be standing, we've talked about this, to be standing on rock, to be operating from rock, what works over and over,
Mm-hmm.
how we've soul scienced that it works, and not lost in the sand.
That's a beautiful statement. And we'll continue our conversation about resilience when we come back from this short break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I instruct an online video course that teaches anyone how to play jazz piano like a pro with my proven step-by-step system that makes it simple to learn. Enroll in my Jazz Piano Pro Essentials today and receive a 20% holiday discount by using the coupon code HOLIDAYS2020 at jazzpianopro.com. Happy holidays, everyone.
Welcome back to the Live by Heart Today show number 37. Wendy just started discussing resilience, and developing resilience, having resilience, requires that we have a good foundation that we're standing on and structures in place so that we can stick to our list of 7, which includes being renewed. And what else would you like to touch on? I'm hoping we steer in the direction of self-trust at some point.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yay!
Like, self-trust, self-love. Can we find the love within? Can we experience the life within? And that then out of us flow rivers of living water. There's no, we get it from heaven and earth. It comes from inside, and we're free then to act. So go ahead, self-trust, etc.
You just described what I believe is heaven.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in the flow,
Yeah.
that is coherence. And coherence comes with so many benefits, resilience, right? Mm-hmm. And when it comes to self-trust, I've become well aware that it's easy to erode trust in yourself. And it's the little things, right? Can I be honest with myself? Can I honestly say, wow, chocolate is not my friend, even though I love, love, love it? Am I willing to give it up for the greater good? And you think, oh, just a little chocolate. So the experiment before my big chocolate dump was just a little chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Little. And yeah, it didn't have such an intense response all at one time, like having a bunch of chocolate did. But just a little chocolate, it built up. And before I knew it, even the thoughts I was thinking included, I just want to get this done. Or I'm being interrupted by the dog again.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed those thoughts and thought, where are they coming from? And
mm-hmm.
For me, It's chocolate. So can I trust myself to see what is, to see my behavior, to not justify my behavior? Well, I deserve to have time without the dog barking while I'm trying to write this email, right? I can look at what is. Oh, the dog is barking. The dog is communicating with me something that he doesn't think I'm aware of. Oh, yeah, he's got to go outside, right? It makes perfect sense.
You're going to want to know that.
Yes. Yeah, because then who cleans up the mess if he doesn't make it outside, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I get to consciously choose, and I have to be with what is first. So I'm being with what is. I really want to get this writing done, and the dog is barking. What is going on right in this moment? And it's so beautiful because that's how we develop self-trust. If every time I think, oh, I love chocolate so much, right? I'm sending the message to myself, I love chocolate, I love chocolate, I love chocolate. Then when I'm presented with chocolate, is it likely that I'm going to choose not to eat it? No way. Because I keep telling myself, I love it, I'm then going to consume it. And that's not developing a strong foundation for me to establish trust in myself, that I know it's not good for me, and that I know if it's in my environment, I'm able to say no to it. And I think that's a skill that people are not developing strongly, right? Self-trust. Can you make a decision? I recall visiting family, obviously, well over a year ago, and there was cheese somewhere being served, and someone said, "Oh, it was my sister-in-law." She said, "Oh, here, have some cheese," and I said, "No, thank you." And she said, "Oh, but it's so good." And I said, "Yeah, it is good." And she said, "Well, good, have some." And I said, "No, thank you." And she said, "Don't you just want a little? A little won't be bad for you, will it?" Right? Like she's saying, "Well, if it tastes so good, why don't you just?"
Yeah.
And it's because I know myself and I've made the decision and I trust myself to not eat it. And I've just decided. And no matter how many times you ask me, do you want it? Do you want it? Do you want it? I'm able to stand strong. It's like peer pressure. When I was in high school, right? We all think about peer pressure from grade school and high school.
Yeah.
And I trusted myself a lot. I had a lot of resilience then. And people would say, "Oh, would you like such and such?" I didn't drink then. I had a great friend who always asked me, "Would you like a beer?" And he always expected me to say, "No, thank you." And every time I said, "No, thank you," right? It was like clockwork. But he would
was like
ask
a dance.
me. Yes, it was a dance. "Would you like a beer?" "Thanks, no." "Would you like a beer?" "Thanks, no." And he said, I'm just asking to be polite. Right? But it could have been perceived, right? It could have been suffering. Oh, if we get together, he's going to ask me if I want another beer. And right.
Yeah.
It wasn't that at all. It was no thanks. It was easy.
It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
Awesome. So, just for the focus of this, because I know our time is tight, right?
Close.
I wanted to talk about part of the reason today that we're talking about this is because that song that was popular when I was in junior high, "Don't Go Changing to Try to Please Me. I Love You Just the Way You Are." And it's really interesting. It's like that holds us in place. It holds us in place to how we were, and it's very relevant to this conversation about our society and how things are. It's like if I'm attached to how it was or even how it is, then I can't be with what it is each moment and each day and each year as it goes forward. And if you really love me in a relationship, if you really love me, you'll love me how I am now, and you'll love me how I am now, and you'll have me how I am now. And in my relationship with myself, I'll allow myself to be now. And I think I've said with Michael, like, we're always like every day, not every day, but like, we're like, "Oh, who are you today?" And can we be like that with our relationship with this reality? "Oh, what's up today? Oh, fascinating."
And there's freedom in that, right? Don't go changing to try to please me. Gives you freedom to change to please you.
Hopefully. Hopefully. I don't think that's what the song says, but I'm all for that, right? Yeah, do your own thing. It doesn't say, it pretty much says, I love you how you are, so don't change. And that is toxic, I think. I don't think that's love.
Oh, that's interesting. I interpreted the song differently. It was don't go changing to try to please me. I love you just the way you are.
Yeah. I need to know that you will always be the same old someone that I knew.
Oh, there you go. So that is different.
Yeah. So you just keep listening to the good parts.
Yeah. I'll choose to be positive about it.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. It's like, and that's like, these are the good old days, and there's always like, oh, that song from Rusty was bringing up, the song from All in the Family,
Oh yeah. Those were the days.
right? It's always like, oh, that, it used to be so great, now it's not. This is a paradigm that's always happening.
Yes.
It used to be great and now it's not. And usually older people are saying that, and the young people are trying new things. And a lot, and also there's a paradigm that tends to go with it, which is, oh, the kids these days, it's just so funny, it just keeps happening every generation. Oh, yes. The kids these days, it's like, can we let them do new, because that's what kids do, and it's such a blessing.
To be with what is such a blessing, and we can be grateful and see the blessings that are around us instead of longing for something from the past.
Yeah. And you were saying Simon Sinek has been talking about this. He's been talking about millennials for a while, but he has this new distinction.
That they're not broken.
Not broken.
We can accept them as they are, and it's us who can connect. It's us who can reach out and see the innovation that they bring. It's interesting.
Yeah. So can we accept how it is? Can we stop looking back? Can we not become the pillar of salt coming out of wherever that is, Nineveh? Where the you know the story?
Wasn't it Sodom and Gomorrah?
That's it, Sodom and Gomorrah. Very good.
It was his wife. Lot's wife turned to salt.
Can we not turn back and be turned to salt? Can we just keep going forward, because the river only goes one way?
Mama Duck only goes one way, and you got to keep your eye on her.
Yes. So not as a should, but as a like, this is healthy for me, just like the sugar, just like the chocolate. Like, all right, when I look back, this is the results.
Yes.
When I be with it, this is the result. As a soul scientist, what's working?
Yes. And do I want that result, or do I want a different result?
Yeah.
And for me, I want the non-chocolate result in my life.
Yeah. And from my perspective, we've talked about this, I think, but the past is never coming back.
Oh, yeah.
It's never the same river. We can't ever step into the same river twice. Right. And we're all different now.
That's important. Even if it did come back and we were all in the same place, we are not the same people. It won't be the same.
Yeah. And I feel like this also is so relevant to, we understand this in our relationships, like who we might have dated or been crazy about in high school.
Yeah.
Would I want that relationship? No. Would I want who they are now as a relationship? No. All the people I dated, God bless us all. No.
Yeah.
Right. Can I be in reality? It's like, I'm not that and they're not that, and life isn't that, and I haven't made those choices. And like, I think we can relate to this relationally.
Yeah.
And we kind of make dreams of fantasies. What if I'd stayed with that person? But we didn't.
Be with what is.
Yeah. And I'm really glad. Like, even the breakups that were really hard for me, I'm so glad, because I love my life now.
Hooray.
Yeah.
And you chose it.
I chose it.
And I think that's important to remind everyone that the way that they're living, what they see right now, is based on all the choices that they made up to this point.
Yeah, it is the choices we make. And we dance with reality, and we
Mm-hmm.
dance with spirit, and we dance with each other. And can I remember that I'm leading in the dance?
Yes.
Or I'm the captain, or I'm the driver of my car, because we are. And I used to, some people blame the other people, some people blame the reality or whatever, what's happening, or political people. I always blamed God. I'm like, let the buck stop where it belongs, right? I'd always like for ever since I'm young, I'm just like, if there's a God, it's God's fault, right? That's how I was. And then I was like, oh, but who's doing the choosing with all my free will?
Yeah.
Oh, darn, me, dude.
Isn't it amazing when we point our finger, how many are being pointed back at us?
Yes. So
beautiful.
So can we enjoy it? Because these are the good old days.
These are the good old days. Yep, we're making memories right now.
Right now.
Right now. Thank
Beautiful.
you, Wendy.
Thanks.
Thank you to everyone who's watching today. We'd love to hear from you. If our conversation spoke to you, please tell us what's on your heart by leaving us a comment below. And for more information about how you can live by heart, please go to livebyhearttoday.com. Like and follow this page. Please turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our shows. We're here every week on Thursdays at 4:44 Pacific time, and we love being here every Thursday. From our heart to yours, we're creating a better tomorrow because we live by heart today.
And that concludes this portion of
Live by Heart Today!
Thank you for watching. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's give a shout out to our sponsors. Shop online at wearehistorically.com. Conscious Human Apparel.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilridge. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Have a happy